Two dudes with attitudes, let's go. It's the two dudes and our attitudes, ruthless, aggressively speaking, so let's do this. We're Ryan and Denton, they here to get your attention. The 5-star broadcast, shit, start to the ending. Whether it's the E or it's all E. The two dudes with the attitudes to bring the heat. Get the point, yeah, it's on, time to lock in. Listen to the podcast where they get it poppin'.
It's Two Dudes with Attitudes, a wrestling podcast with Ryan Enjoys Wrestling and the Heartbreak Dude Denton. And this is our AEW edition of our weekly podcast, man. How you feeling about AEW right now? You excited?
Yeah, we have to be careful with what we say because apparently you're known to spread some hatred around here. So we gotta we gotta tread lightly when we talk AEW. And only positive things, only positivity.
I cannot believe I posted a TikTok today that I thought like, oh, this is a pretty solid TikTok. I don't know, 300 people viewed it or whatever, and the wrong person viewed it, man. That guy was losing his mind that I would even question an inkling of anything negative during a 1 hour long match. I cannot believe it, but we'll get into that.
And it was like the most, it wasn't even a negative video. It wasn't.
I was positive, I thought.
Yeah, but we have to just tread lightly. So I'm gonna like every time you start spreading hate, I'm gonna I wish I had like a shock collar for you or something that I could just zap you. Hate.
You could just
hate.
Go hate, hate.
Yeah.
Rampage was only an hour. This hate. I'm like, oh, darn it. But anyway, yeah, man, what an interesting issue. I gotta say, I know we have obviously people listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, but I was watching our pre-done video. Man, it bums me out. For one, seeing Bailey like wreck up on Damage Control, I'm like, man, what a waste. And then seeing MJF being beat up by the Kingdom, I'm like, man, what a waste. And then I'm just watching like CM Punk's awesome haircut when he came back and he looked all young and it was faded up. And I was like, what a waste. Like everything on that video just bums me out.
I need to redo it.
We need to bring Brock Lesnar back.
Yeah, we need to bring Brock back. We need like a fresh like 2024. That video is kind of from 2023. So we need
it is, yeah.
Cody Rhodes is champion now, so yeah.
Oh yeah, they got Cody Rhodes staring down
Roman Reigns,
Usos, and Roman. Yeah, they're like, come on, we got this Survivor Series. But anyway,
we'll put a new one together. We'll get a new one.
Yeah. I mean, I still love it. I just like it. Just depresses me. I'm like, man, we just go the 100% it is, but we just go the wrong way. All right, let's get into it. You got some AEW news, so let's hear it, my man. What is just in?
Yeah, so earlier today, there was a report from one of the dirt sheets. And, it's dirt sheet fodder, so just take it with a grain of salt. But apparently AEW is super, super close to getting a new TV deal, like closer than ever before. Like a report is imminent within the next like day or so, is how I understood the report to be. In fact, if all over the social media sphere and even on TikTok as well, there's a bunch of people posting videos that live in Europe, and AEW has started like beta testing, especially in like France. But they've started beta testing to test how many people download it, what people watch. But all of AEW's content is on HBO Max in at least in France. I know it might be in other countries in Europe, but definitely in France. And like that's like all 6 seasons. Apparently, we're on season 6 of AEW Dynamite. They do it I think it's based on the calendar year. So this is like but it's season 6. But and then it's all the episodes of Rampage, all the episodes of Collision. A couple of pay-per-views. I think Revolution from this year is on there with Sting's retirement. Forbidden Door most recently is on there. And I think there's like one other one. All of the Battle of the Belts, if you're interested in those, are on there. So they're starting to beta test. And if that's the case, then that means that maybe there is some truth to this, because Warner Brothers Discovery, I don't think they would put them on HBO Max if they were unhappy with what's going on with AEW on television right now. So I think it's a good time for them. It's a good time, and hopefully we get a report and we get something that we know something relatively soon.
So what you're saying is that what you think this dirt sheet is saying is that they're going to stay on TBS and TNT, but they're going to stream on HBO or Max or whatever it's called now.
Yeah.
And they're going to stream on Max with possibly pay-per-views and
That's what
catalog.
Yeah,
Like
that's
the
what I'm
WWE
thinking.
on Peacock. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm
That's
thinking.
a win, dude. I hope
I
so.
don't know if like if you have to order, if you have HBO Max and you want to watch All In or something, and you want to watch it the day of, you may have to pay like $20 more or something to get it. I don't really know if that's how or if it's going to be exclusive on HBO Max like Peacock is. You pay one price. They might go a separate model. I don't really know how they're doing it, but yeah, that's how I understand it. It'll still be on TV, on TBS, TNT, and then maybe like the episode will be on Max like the next day or something like that as well. So it'll be everywhere. So
I mean, yeah,
that's what they need.
They need to have their pay-per-view streaming. We need to have no one pays $60 anymore. That they're way too long. Imagine all the watch alongs we can do. We can do everything now if it's streaming so easily. I don't have to worry about trying to find it somewhere to view it. It'd be very cool. So yeah, and hopefully, and like we said, they need to be around. So it's good to have AEW sticking around, competing with the WWE. It's what we need.
Yeah, if they go exclusive to Max and they're not on TBS or TNT anymore, that's a huge win for them too, I think, because it kind of gets them ahead of WWE. All everyone's talking about is WWE moving to Netflix in January, and Monday Night Raw is going to be on Netflix. Monday Night Raw, WWE is changing the landscape. But if AEW can get in there and put their live show on streaming first, I think that's huge for them, for the little company that could. So Tony Khan will be tweeting about that every 15 minutes that we're the first wrestling company to do this. And
for sure.
So, but it'll be good for them.
Although I don't go on my X anymore. I stopped just because it was so negative. I should get back on it and bring some positivity.
Because you like to spread hate, so
I do
fit right in. Yeah,
I don't know why I don't love it. It's like my thing, my niche.
Yeah.
But I don't hear a lot about him posting anymore, so I don't feel like he's doing what he used to do. But either way,
he hasn't lately.
Pro wrestling, like I said on our last podcast, and you agreed, and other people are saying it, is that this is the time of wrestling as a whole, and AEW, we need it, because if they go away, is Trips really going to try that hard? Who knows? But yeah, so props to AEW. I would like it full streaming, but I'll take TBS and TNT, whatever. As long as I can stream their pay-per-views now, I'd be happy. I'll pay $10 a month. Let me just watch your pay-per-views. All right.
I agree.
They'll make a lot more money, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. You ready?
Yes, sir.
We're going to do like we always do, Rampage being just a quick hour. I'll go Rampage, I'll go straight into Collision, and then we'll review them both. You ready?
Yep, go for it.
Rampage, we got the House of Black defeating the Premier Athletes. Roderick Strong defeats Ben Bishop. Deonna Purrazzo cuts a promo about the age of Virtuoso. Rey Fenix wins a 4-way match. Chris Jericho says what happened to Samoa Joe is what happens when you don't listen to the learning tree. Thunder Rosa defeats Rachel Ellering after the match. Deonna rushes in and cheap shots her from behind. In the main event, Shane Taylor Promotions defeats Top Flight and Action Andrade to close out the episode. Collision starts up with Takeshita defeating Tommy Billington. After the match, Don Callis offers Tommy a spot in his crew, and Tommy says no thanks. So Takeshita beats the crap out of him until FTR makes the save. The Bang Bang Gang win a match after they announce that Jay White has been injured, and Christopher Daniel tells them that they must vacate the titles, even though I thought they were having like a Freebirds rule, but I guess not. The Patriarchy comes out, and Daniel says they will fight for the trios title. So we'll get into it. Roderick Strong defeats Dalton Castle, who I still love. Mark Briscoe mumbles. Hologram will be here next week. I believe it was Hologram. I watched a couple times. I think it's Hologram will be here next week. Statlander and Stokely say they will go after Willow forever. Nyla Rose defeats Ava, and Top Flight defeats Shane Taylor Promotion. So they got that win back. But after the match, Shane Taylor comes out and beats down Top Flight. So maybe they didn't. Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa will have a lumberjack match next week on Collision. Nyla Rose versus Mercedes Money. at Dynamite. Sky Blue defeats Harley Cameron, and in the main event, the Kingdom defeat Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly. After the match, Trent Beretta is back. Guess who's back? And attacks Orange Cassidy, but Cassidy hits him with a wrench, punches him in the face to close to the show, and that's the Collision and Rampage review. What you got? A lot happened.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with Rampage.
All right.
I want to try to be a little bit as positive as I can, but
Hey,
not much. Not much happened on Rampage.
If you have to try,
I know. However, but no, but I do want to give AEW some credit. I do like how they're booking their women's division right now, and we have the two notable feuds with Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné, and then we have Toni Storm and Mariah May, obviously going for the TBS and the women's titles respectively. But one story that I'm finding pretty entertaining is this Deonna Purrazzo Thunder Rosa story. They've been going at each other for what feels like forever now. I think they've had 2 or 3 matches against each other. Deonna Purrazzo keeps coming up short, but she still just cannot, like, she still takes cheap shots at Thunder Rosa. And I know it's leading to a match at Dynamite next week, which I can't wait for, but I always enjoy it when we get matches and compelling stories when there's no title involved, because that means that it still feels important. And I feel like this match, whenever it happens, will feel important.
Yeah, and they were already kind of feuding beforehand, so I thought maybe we would kind of be like, don't, but it is the build. And I like it too. I saw some people saying, oh, again, but I dig it. And I like that Deonna kind of had a video redoing herself, the age of Virtuoso. I like it because she came in flat, man. She was hot before AEW, then she came in AEW and it didn't feel good. It was a stupid feud with Toni Storm, sharing tattoo stories, best friendship, and she lost pretty easily. But I like where she's going now. I feel like she has potential. I dig her, and obviously Thunder Rosa is a star. So yeah, I'm excited for the Lumberjack match next week. I guess Deonna has no friends, so who is she going to have there? I guess we'll find out, huh?
Yeah, I guess. And then there's also the Thunder, not the Thunder Rosa, but the Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander as well, which is good. You're building your women's division, but you're doing it without championships, and I think it's a good thing, because that means that the rest of the division still feels important, even though there's no titles involved.
For sure. And then even going into Collision, they did the whole Nyla, Rose thing all of a sudden. I mean, she was a champion, then kind of disappeared, then kind of came back. Now she's back again, and they have her going up against Mercedes on Dynamite, especially with Britt Baker still in the mix, which we'll get into on Dynamite. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I thought it was good stuff. And one thing I like about Rampage and Collision too is that they're starting to fade in, like they always kind of did, but now it's kind of going Rampage. They got some people like Top Flight and the Shane Taylor Promotions, and they fight again on Collision, but it's like they went from a trio to a tag team, and then things from Rampage faded into Collision, which faded into Dynamite, Orange Cat, and I like how that's how it should be done. If you're not going to do like SmackDown and Raw, NXT, and have them all split, and you're going to have them all be a thing, then tell a story, man, because they have other things too. Like they have Dalton Castle pop up or whatever to have a hell of a good match against Roderick Strong, and he helps carry him, but you can have the random too, but I like that they are constantly telling a story in all 3 events. You kind of have to watch Rampage, like this week I watched Dynamite first. I'm not going to lie. I record Rampage. I was in Vegas. Didn't have time to watch. I watched Dynamite and was like, oh shoot. So I had to go back to watch the Bang Bang Gang in it. And then I went Rampage Collision. I'm like, it all makes sense. So I had to watch it all. That's smart booking. That's how they should do it. So bravo to Tony Khan and company. Yeah.
Yeah. But one thing, now I'm going to go to the bad.
Hey, is it going to be Bang Bang Gang, or you got something else?
No, it's the Bang Bang Gang. So
what?
So Jay White is hurt, and apparently
wink.
No, I think it's real. I think it's legit.
I
think he suffered a legitimate injury, and they were writing him off TV. Apparently it was back. It was in his singles match that he had last week or the week before, but so he's legitimately hurt. And I don't know what the injury is. I don't know how long he'll be out or anything, but and now the Bang Bang Gang has to be stripped of the trios championships by Christopher Daniels, even though they still had the titles going into the show, and then they're like putting them on the line, and then Christopher Daniels is like, actually, no, you're not. And then he makes a match. He's like, actually, I have an idea. How about the Patriarchy versus the Bang Bang Gang for the for the vacant trios championships. Like, and then that match was made official this past week on Dynamite, so it's going to happen next week on Dynamite. And it's just why? Like, why didn't just keep the belts on the Bang Bang Gang? It made you had MJF defend the ROH tag team titles he was partnered with Adam Cole, and sometimes he would defend them by himself. Yeah, he had no partner.
And with Samoa Joe one time.
Yeah, he had Samoa Joe substitute in for him once or twice. And one of those times it was against the Devil. But yet, Jay White's hurt, and you have to strip the Bang Bang Gang. Like, I felt bad for those guys, man, because they were starting to come into their own. I'm not really sure like the direction of these feuds, because you still have House of Black kind of taunting the patriarchy, who's going after the Bang Bang Gang, and all three groups are heels. But I still, that made no logical sense whatsoever to strip them of the trios championships just to have them compete for the titles the very next week. Made no sense.
I gotta agree with you. It was a huge miss. I didn't even understand it, because I think if you're gonna do that, then you have Patriarchy versus House of Black, and so then you have the Bang Bang Gang have something to kind of redeem themselves, and they could be baby faces out of all three. Yeah. They could, House of Black could too, but I feel like they could be, especially because Jay White's so loved. So why not do it that way? But if you're just gonna strip them, there's literally, and when I say literally, I'm saying it correctly, no difference from them keeping it and facing Christian Cage and them than what they did. Because if they win, they're the champs. If they lose, they're not. So if they would have kept the titles, if they won, they would be the champs. And if they lost, they wouldn't be the champs. So why take it from them to begin with? It made no sense. And they announced that they were having that rule. And they talked about it. Like you said, what if they would have lost to these random dudes? Then what happened?
Yeah,
would he have come out and be like, no, it's vacant. You guys don't get it. Very weird booking. But that's kind of AEW, man. Like I've always said it, they are clicking, and they always do like one thing where you're like, that, like, do you guys listen to your own show? And like you said, there's been proven, because Christopher Daniels came out just like it was a normal, like, no, you guys know when someone's injured, you got to vacate, and they're like,
that's never happened. Yeah,
that's never happened.
We've also had interim champions too. Like you've done interim champions, you've done you had substitute champions. I mean,
yes,
crazy stuff.
It was very weird, and also. Yeah. Can I ask you a question? I'm now trying to figure out this whole like GM thing, but they're not GM. So is Christopher Daniels in charge of Collision and Rampage, and the Young Bucks are in charge of Dynamite, and then Tony Khan is just in charge whenever his cell phone is on him? I'm just trying to figure out, because you don't see the Young Bucks on Collision and Rampage anymore, and Christopher Daniels is never on Dynamite. So is he just like there, like I just feel like if I was the Bang Bang Gang, I'd be like, bro, who are you? Call up the Young Bucks and let me see if you can take my trios titles away. Like, who are you?
Go get the CEO,
very weird.
Mercedes Moné, and just just see what she has to say, because she's our CEO. But I don't understand the authority stuff. I feel like they're trying to do authority figures, but it's just they haven't really, because Tony Khan is still showing his face sometimes on Christopher Daniels is even like, I know I like the idea, and I know Tony Khan will like the idea, so it is Tony Khan in charge of it. And then then the Young Bucks are still making decisions. Like, I don't understand what they're doing with some of these decisions and some of these authorities that they have going on. So I wish they would figure that out, because it's good, because AEW is clicking, man, but they got some minor things they got to work on.
Yeah, and that's what they've always had. It's always like they can't be perfect, right? They have to be close, but never. They always got to find a way to kind of fumble the ball. Is that really it? I think that's almost everything, right? Everything else kind of fades into Dynamite, I think.
Nothing major.
I agree. All right, well, let's get into some Dynamite then. And really quick, once again, especially the listeners at home that can't see, I'm drinking Prime. This is my new daily thing. I'm on a new kick. So I want everybody to know, drink Prime. And my boy Logan Paul, we support you here on Two Dudes. Always. So why don't you give us a holler and a sponsor, huh? We love our Prime, bro.
Yeah, it is good stuff. I had some the other day, and it was delicious. I finally drank it. I drank the WWE one, the one that
I have it. Yep. And it was good, huh?
Yeah,
that's one of the best ones. And I got to give shots out to my 10-year-old son, because he's the reason why. So he got me into Logan Paul and Prime. So shots out to Mason. All right.
Nice.
Dynamite. You ready? Yeah. Good job, Mason. All right. You ready, Dynamite? let's get into it. This is going to be quick because, half the show was one thing. All right. MJF defeats Will Ospreay to win the international title in an hour-long match. The Acclaimed are now part of Team AEW for Blood and Guts, which I just realized is not a pay-per-view and is a Dynamite next week. I did not know that. Chris Jericho is talking. Yep, you did the exact expression for those of you that didn't see. He rubbed his eyes. And out comes Suzuki. Fan-freaking-tastic. All 90-year-olds of him to challenge Chris Jericho next week. The Elite are talking backstage, and Mercedes Moné walks up and dances, and Okada gets a boner. Mercedes Moné defends her title against Nyla Rose. After the match, Mercedes Moné walks up to a fan wearing a mask and rips the sign out of her hands. And surprise, surprise, it's Britt freaking Baker. I just thought they let fans wear masks in the audiences. Jack Perry doesn't care that Darby Allin beat up poor Brandon Cutler. So what does Jack Perry do? He beats up Brandon Cutler as well. Tony Storms is out for a chant, but wait. It's Mariah freaking May, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Schiavone calls her a bitch in the second most awkward thing he has ever said in his career. I don't even know where. I literally thought it was somebody in my I had it was like a mess up. I have no idea. We'll get into that. Maria May says, of course she was going to turn on Tony Storm. She's surprised it took her so long, and she had so much fun doing it. Flashback to Collision with the Bang Bang Gang giving up their titles to Christopher Daniels as they were walking out. In the main event, Swerve Strickland and Okada end in a DQ. The Young Bucks attack Swerve. The Acclaim make the save. Jack Perry and Mark Briscoe run into. Hangman Page walks as slow as he possibly can to the ring, and Darby Allin falls from the rafters like Sting, but not as cool, to become the last member of Team AEW to close the show with a brawl. And that's the AEW Dynamite in review, which was actually like a 9 out of 10. I just made it sound a little goofy, just because, like I said, AEW always has to
they have it,
not do it perfectly. But that was a pretty damn good episode of Dynamite.
It was, yeah.
I enjoyed it, and it was quick, other than the hour-long match. Yeah. No,
in the hour-long match, man, the Ospreay MJF match, it didn't feel like it went an hour. Like it was. They changed their offense up a little bit. They stayed on the offense the entire time. I mean, MJF would get his licks in, Ospreay would get his licks in. It felt like they were just it felt like they were just getting started, especially there at the end. They really started getting their foot on the gas around like the 50-minute mark. But yeah, I was happy that we got a winner. MJF cheated to win to become the new international champion. I'm curious to see where he goes with this title. I'm curious to see where Ospreay goes from here. But yeah, that was probably one of the best matches in Dynamite's history, and it was a perfect opportunity to do it on the 250th episode of Dynamite. So I dug it.
All right, here's my hate out of the whole episode. You ready? My hate.
Go for it.
I think MJF and Will Ospreay match was the actual best match ever on Dynamite. I have to say that. Hey, I can see that. By far the best match. I did enjoy. They had me tricked. They did the time limit draw. I thought there was no way there was going to be a winner. And you even told me off record that you thought it was amazing that AEW is always so good at having that thing go 3-2, and they did it. Although I never time it, so maybe they don't, and they just pop it up when need be. But either way, it looks cool. It's great. WWE should take a little lesson from AEW on how to end a match or whatever else, like from their botch in their last one. But I do think it didn't have to go an hour.
Yeah, I don't think it needed to.
It's very unnecessary to have an hour-long match on a 2-hour episode of Dynamite. I made the point, where I got the hate from, was that the match could have been about 35-40 minutes if they would have taken out the in the arena stuff, which I always think is pointless. I don't think you need it. I don't know if you enjoyed it, but a little girl who was obviously planted there started getting her licks on MJF, and then he flipped her off, and then Will Ospreay gave her knucks and so on. All of the whole outside stuff, you take that away, it's still the best match ever on Dynamite. And then they set up a table at about the 5-minute mark, didn't go through it until about the 58-minute mark. And throughout the match, they kept teasing it where Ospreay went up, and then another time MJF went up, and then Ospreay went up, and that all unnecessary. So if you take all that away, it'll be about 35, 40 minutes, and it would still be
Yeah.
the best match ever on Dynamite. That's all I was saying, because then you could have taken that. There wasn't many people on here. You could have added some more people, maybe kind of teased a little bit more of who was going to be the 5th member of AEW, because they didn't talk about that at all. They all just kind of like, I'm in, and that was like it. So you could have built that up more, or you could have had another match of somebody who needs some time and some TV, space. That's all I was saying. And because I think if you take those things out, the match is still the best match ever. The match,
it
when
was.
you think about the matches, you don't go, remember that little girl smacked MJF, and when like the MJF went up to the ropes and then came down because Will Ospreay rolled off the table. Like, nobody cares about that stuff. It still would have been the best match.
That was my big problem with this match, was the stuff in the audience, because watching wrestling, right? Like, why is that not a double count out? I mean, they were out there. I mean, they're fighting in the ring. I mean, then they go into the audience and they're just beating each other up. And like, what do they even do count outs in AEW? Do they even do disqualifications? Because they just were just
that girl punched him. That's a DQ, correct?
Yeah.
The ref didn't see, and also they were counting, because there was one time I remember vividly that they were out of the ring. Will Ospreay got back. He rolled into the ring and rolled back out, and the ref was mad. He was like, because he started counting, and then he has to stop the count when you go in and out. And so he was frustrated. So they were counting
the count.
So that's what I'm saying. So, they were not up in the stands for 10 seconds. Yeah,
it's inconsistencies like that.
Yes, it is.
And they could have, like you said, they could have taken that part out and done away with that whole thing, and it still would have been a phenomenal match, and still the best match in Dynamite's history. But man, these guys, they put it all on the line, man. Woo! 59 minutes, 58 seconds, and we crowned a new AEW champion. I mean, just when you think MJF is getting stale, or he can't go in the ring, and there's people out there, I don't think that, but there's people out there that think it. I mean, this man, he had an hour-long Iron Man match with Bryan Danielson, and it was a banger. Then he had his stuff with CM Punk. All of it was good. All I think they had, 3 matches? All of them were good. And then his stuff with, as the champion there at the end with Jay White, Samoa Joe, all that stuff was really, really good. The matches, the feud with Adam Cole, when he wrestled Adam Cole at All In last year, that was great. And I mean, MJF, man, he just gets better and better. And then he had a match with Kenny Omega on a random episode of Collision last year. Really good match. I mean, the man is he's on another level. He is on another level. AEW was so lucky to have him.
I agree. He is literally the best on the mic in all the business, minus Paul Heyman, but that doesn't count. And he was told he could not have good wrestling matches. He has nothing but bangers after bangers.
Every time.
All his matches are phenomenal. And I think that's why he went an hour, because I think he wanted to show, look, I can go with Will Ospreay. It'll work. It'll happen. He did some new things. Phenomenal. Loved it. If you did not see it, go back, do yourself a favor. And I'd also like to say, I stated last week, if this match has a finish, then it is worth it to have this match on Dynamite and not on a pay-per-view. You need a ratings pop. They got the ratings pop. It worked. Now people will tune in next week, so they'll have a higher rating. You just got to follow. This is the same thing. To this day, everybody craps on Goldberg and Hogan at Nitro. Shouldn't have been on Nitro. Should have been a pay. I always said no. They were in the middle of a ratings war. They needed that match, and it helped them in that time. That's what you do. That's what you do. And I support this. So
I had zero problem with this match being on television. I know a lot of people did, because you have your big show, the biggest show of the year, the following month, and why not build and make that the pay-per-view match? That's what everybody's argument was. And I had zero problem with it. I mean, WWE gives us pay-per-view quality matches on TV every single week. They gave us Sami Zayn and Ilya Dragunov this past week on Monday Night Raw. 2 weeks in a row, we had DIY go for the tag team titles against A-Town Down Under on SmackDown. We had Sami Zayn and Chad Gable main event Raw a few times, and then they had pay-per-view matches shortly thereafter as well. So with no build and no Sami Zayn's like, hey, you want an Intercontinental title match? Sure, okay, you got it. I talked to Adam Pearce. The match is on. See you then. Like, that's not a build. And nobody complains. Nobody says anything about those. And I think the people that were just complaining about this, or they either don't they just hate AEW for the sake of hating AEW, or they're just hypocritical and they don't understand it. But there's a lot of things to kill Tony Khan for. This isn't one of them. This was this was a wise decision, and Okada and Swerve too. That was a great match.
100%. We'll get
The
into
right
that.
decision
Yeah,
to put that one on too.
I agree. And imagine All In is going to have Swerve versus Bryan Danielson. That's a
Yeah,
perfect match. Probably the biggest feud right now with Tony Storm versus Mariah May. And
Yeah.
then think about it. You can still have, and imagine how much bigger this match is going to be. You can still have MJF versus Will Ospreay 2 for the international championship. That'll be even bigger than part 1. So, I mean, it can still work. So I don't know why people are so upset about it. I think this
Yeah.
is the perfect decision.
and
Perfect
there's
move.
plenty of time to build. I mean, that pay-per-view is not until the end of August, so there's still plenty of time to build things
That's what I'm
up, tell
saying.
stories. Yeah, and they already have some good, compelling stories going into it as well. So I'm actually more excited about this year's All In than I was about last year's All In.
So am I.
And it's because of what AEW is doing right now. So keep it up.
I fully agree. We better do a watch along for it, although it'll be a
Yeah.
17-hour watch along, but it's all good.
It's all
All
right.
right.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Mariah May. I want to talk about the whole thing. I'll let you start. Go ahead. I posted a video about it, so let's hear what your take
Yeah.
is. What do you?
Okay, first of all, Mariah May, whew, bombshell, absolutely freaking gorgeous. Number one. Number two, I liked this. I liked this segment. I did. I felt like the crowd was a little dead for it, and I feel like because it might be because they were legitimately confused because she looked uncanny. She looked exactly like Tony Storm. At first, I was like, "Oh." When that music hit and the screen went black and white, I was like, "Why, Tony Khan? Why did you bring Tony Storm? Like, she needs to be off TV for a week, at least a week." And here she is coming out. And then I was like, "Oh, it's Mariah May," but she looked exactly like Tony Storm. I swear, I was like, "Holy shit!"
She does both times. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she does the other too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "But damn!" Like, and then, so I think the crowd was a little confused because I think they thought it was legitimately Tony Storm. But I mean, the segment, the promo was good. I wish that she would have like maybe taken the wig off or taken the shoes off or something and like destroyed them or beat them. I don't know, because being like, this is a hideous look. This is so terrible. This is ugly. I don't know why I lowered myself to this. Did it get me excited about the match? Yeah, but Mariah May's a star, and that's it's really all there was to it. The promo was a little, compared to how the show ended last week, I kind of expected a little bit more, but I still liked it. She's gonna kill it. She's gonna tear it up. And I liked the line about, I still love you even when I was wiping the blood off of your face and rubbing it all over me. That's when I loved you the most, and just things like that. It was good stuff. I dug the promo. I just wish that there was a little bit more to it.
Do you have a Tony Schiavone comment? Was that what'd you feel about that?
I didn't have a problem with it. I know that sounds, I like, was it a little out of pocket? Yes. But at the same time, he's a commentator, and he even said, like, shout out to Taz for reeling him in, be like, "Dude, Schiavone, like, what the hell's wrong with you?" And
that sounded
like,
real to me, by the way.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just so pissed off after what she did to Tony Storm." So it made sense, right? It wasn't, what she did to Tony Storm was heinous, and what she did to Tony Storm last week was terrible and awful. So I didn't have it wasn't like Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker, and she's like, "Okay, bitch, like, just talk," because there's no reason for them to do that. But there was actually a reason, and so I didn't really have as big of a problem with it as everybody else. I see why people have the issue with it, but to me, he was just, it's no different. I know that like it's a female thing, but how is it any different than Pat McAfee calling Dirty Dom a loser or an idiot, or Michael Cole's all the time ripping on Dirty Dom for being completely stupid, and so I don't know.
I mean, it's boy on boy. I mean, that's why I was a little bit caught off guard. For one, he had a lot of venom in his voice, so it sounded like it was not meant to be said. I literally was confused until I heard Taz go like, "Whoa, Tony," and then I was like, "That was Tony Schiavone." Like, it was just very.
Maybe it was
weird,
like,
and maybe
it wasn't scripted, and that's what threw everybody off. and
Mhm.
which is fine, but I didn't have as big of a problem with it as
Yeah.
a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It threw me off for one.
Yeah, it
And
threw me
I
off.
did think I
Yeah.
did think it was kind of awkward. It came out awkward. And once again, I'm not trying to be politically correct in 2024, but just a male commentator just calling a female in the ring a whatever bitch is just I don't know. I thought it was a little not okay for me. I do think that this was more Tony Khan planned. I do think Tony Khan is trying to shove it to the WWE, saying that you guys have to wait till Netflix to say bad words. And here in AEW, we can kind of do what we
Maybe.
want. We can kind of have girls be seductive and making out, and we can call female wrestlers bitches, and we can do this because we don't need Netflix to do that. That's what it kind of seems like to me. But maybe Tony Schiavone went off the. Tony Schiavone doesn't seem like a guy who does things. I mean, when he made the Mick Foley comment, I mean, that was all Eric Bischoff. I feel like he does what he's told. So I don't think this was him deciding to
Yeah.
say this. Taz still might have been thrown off, but nonetheless. But either way, I just was getting your opinion. But let's get into it. I thought Mariah May, for one, it's insane that Mariah May is a hotter version of Tony Storm. She's
I
looks
know.
exactly.
Yeah.
She's like if you look at Tony Storm's like the Temu version of Tony Storm now.
Yeah.
I don't even get how that's possible because Tony Storm is gorgeous, but
Oh,
that's just how hot Mariah May is. I disagree with the close. I like the end. I like that she just laid on the ground just like her and did the pose. And it kind of is like a mocking sense because she has time to throw it in her face that she doesn't want to be here anymore and this and that. But it was kind of like her saying,
Yeah.
I'm a better version of you. I also like that she didn't go into a full explanation. We didn't have like in 1986, I was a fan and I went to go get an autograph and this was a dubious. No, she was just basically like, yeah, girl, I came at you. I used you. I got my title shot. You helped me get it. Now I'm going to take the title because that's how it is. I love you, but it is what it is. I was going to turn on you no matter what. I used you. I thought it was brilliant, plain, simple. What the fans thought, whatever. Why we don't have to go into an elaborate scheme. It was. I thought it was perfect. Well done. Bada bing, bada boom. And I like that her British accent. Was it thicker? Was she like trying to beat? Was she like Spider-Man, where like he talks in a normal Spider-Man American voice? Because all of a sudden she was like, "I am Mariah May, and I want to come and have some tea."
Hello.
She was like, "Yeah." She was like, "Governor." It was like all of a sudden had like the most thickest accent ever. I was like, "See, I always sound like that."
I thought the same thing about Rhea Ripley when she came back on Raw. I thought she was very. I know she's Australian.
Aussie.
I thought her accent was a lot thicker. Even at one point when she called Liv Morgan out and she was like, "Come on, Liv, come on." I was like, very thick. But yeah, no, Mariah May's accent was it was very thick, much thicker this time. And I mean, it just goes to show how talented these women are because Tony Storm. And Mariah May, I mean, they have become those characters, and it's been fun to see. I think I was just expecting more of like a heel, and I know we got it, but like that's why I was saying like have her go out there and just destroy the clothes and cut the outfits up and destroy them and like really get some heel heat and not say anything, not even give a reason for turning on Tony Storm. Just go out there and just this is hideous. This is ugly. I don't be the diva that Tony Storm is supposed to be, but destroying all of Tony Storm's stuff and to get some more heel heat before you kind of explain what happens.
Yeah. All right. I feel that. All right. Let's get into it. Team AEW, Team Elite. What do you think? Are you okay with the 5s? With the 10? Sorry.
I am. Yeah. I don't have a problem with it. I could do without. I feel like Darby Allin is like the AEW version of John Cena. And I don't mean that in the terms of career or anything, but or in-ring ability or marketability or acting ability, but just like, okay, we need a surprise. What can we do? And Triple H is like, let's get John Cena to show up on the Raw after Mania, and he'll team with The Miz and R-Truth. And that'll be the big Raw after Mania surprise. And everyone's like, great, Papa H is cooking. And then Tony Khan, we need a 5th man for Team AEW. Who could it be? We need, what's John Moxley doing? What's who can we get? Let's get Darby Allin. And then they go, and like, because he was the fifth man on the AEW team at Double or Nothing, and then he's gone for a while, and he comes back and he's the fifth man at Blood and Guts. So it's just it really is not a surprise. That was the thing. I was kind of expecting them, with them playing the whole who's the fifth man, I was kind of expecting there to be like a return of like Eddie Kingston or a John Moxley or somebody who's been with and Darby Allin's been there from the beginning, but somebody else who's been there from the beginning, like a Moxley,
Sammy Guevara,
something. But no, like it was Darby Allin again. So I don't hate it, but I was hoping we would get something a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, he makes sense, right? But my only problem is that the Acclaimed, they haven't been a part of Team AEW. Like, my thing was that why did you announce the last 3 members the week before they have to wrestle? Like, I feel like Acclaimed have been feuding with the Young Bucks for 2 months now. Why were they not named 2 weeks ago, and then we just get Darby? Because like I said, then you could have just focused on the one. You could have had the match a little bit shorter at the beginning and just focus on who is it. I don't care. Walking around like the Young Bucks could be going around being like, do you know who it is? You tell us. We're the EVPs. And like, I don't know who it is. I'm sorry, Nicholas and Matthew. Like, they could have like built it up so much better, but instead it was just kind of like Young Bucks walked up and what up, Mark Briscoe? And they're like, oh my God, that was a great promo. But also at the same time, can we join Team AEW? Crocodile. And then Swerve comes over and he's like,
that's the best Mark Briscoe impression I've ever heard.
Is that not every single week? I have not been talking about him because I have not wanted to been hating on him. But holy cow, is he trash. This dude just comes out and mumbles, and then everybody in the background is like, wow, that was amazing. And I'm like on my couch, like, what just happened?
Yeah, like
I don't understand Mark Briscoe.
Like, I've been in the ring with you. I've been in the ring with you. I've been in the ring with you. I want to team with y'all. I'm like, what are you?
Yeah.
What?
Spaghetti is a sandwich. And they're like, wow.
Yeah.
Bravo, Mark Briscoe. You are the promo king, bro. I'm waiting for MJF to come out and like, give it that scarf. But either way, but I like that Swerve came over and allowed them, but it was just so random. It was like Mark Briscoe, and then Swerve just came out of nowhere, and then they're like, yeah, and I'm like, obviously you're taking the Acclaim. They're legitimately feuding with the Young Bucks. Like, why would you? So I wish that would have been already done. But other than that, I think the 5-on-5 is perfect. I'm excited for a whole bunch of blood on TBS and an hour-long match. It's going to be an hour-long blood fest.
I'm not looking forward to this as much. Just because I'm not AEW's had these pay-per-view, these events before, and they've been hot messes. They've been overbooked things, and it's just I don't know. Maybe this one will be different, but I don't have the highest of expectations for it. So
yeah. And before we move on to can we admit that Okada is like the best thing going on in AEW right now? The dude doesn't even. I mean, he did wrestle, but I'm sorry, him getting a straight boner over Mercedes money was everything. All his backstage promos, 1-2 words. This is how WWE needs to use their like Japanese style wrestlers and stuff, instead of Shinsuke doing comic book promos backstage and can't talk in person. Like, Okada does his damn thing and is a hit and doesn't have to say much. That whole thing was crack up.
Yeah.
And the fact that they just spanned to him and all of a sudden he was like, Aichi. He was like just so perfect. And Mercedes looked good, no matter. I've been dogging her lately, and I think has nothing going on for her right now. I mean, she does look good doing that stupid little dance.
I'm gonna say, like, I think Mercedes is she's starting to come into her own. I think now that she's embracing this this heel, this bad girl character, this like she's not trying to be like the forced upon us baby face. Like, she's out, she knows that the fans don't like her. They chant, they boo her. They know that Britt Baker's getting all the love right now. And I think she's embracing it. So I'm not as anti Mercedes Moné anymore as I was when she first got there. Because when she first got there, it was very, forced. It just felt like I'm supposed to like this girl when, and then she didn't wrestle for 3 months. Now she's wrestling on Dynamite on a regular basis. And and she's kind of leading into that heel character. So I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah. All right. I'm not there yet, but I'll get there because I like her. I like Sasha Banks. So
yeah.
All right. You ready? You ready for our segment?
Yes, sir. I don't have music for this one.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So we're gonna do, but I want to say AEW props again. This is like the straight month of good television right now. Everything's solid. I'm into it. I'm invested. And like the blood and guts, I'm not excited to see the match, but I'm excited to see all the feuds because I think this match is literally just the build for All In. We're gonna get the
Yeah.
Acclaimed and Young Bucks. We're gonna get Darby and Jack Perry. We're gonna get Swerve, possibly Hangman added in or somewhere in that. We're gonna get, we're getting those builds. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
maybe, Okada versus Briscoe. I don't know what they're doing, but they're at least going to build stuff within the match. So
And that's
I'm excited
the
for
thing that before I feel like this was all just blood and guts was always just thrown together, and it was always
Mhm.
like Eddie Kingston and Claudio were in the blood, and it was BCC and somebody
Mhm.
else, and this time it just feels there's actually an actual story. I don't know what direction they're going to go in though, because I'm kind of ready for this team AEW and Young Bucks thing to kind of end,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I still think it's a little too soon for the team elite, I guess,
Yeah.
to lose,
Well,
because then
let's save it. Let's
yeah,
save it for true or false. Let's save it for true or
okay,
false. Save
yeah,
save your energy. Save your energy. All right, you ready?
yes,
Let's
sir.
get into it. So we're gonna do true or false. That's where Ryan's gonna ask me 2 questions. I'm gonna ask Ryan 2 questions, and we're gonna say if we think it will be true or false, kind of predicting the future of what we think might happen. Doesn't mean we want it to happen. We're just wondering, inquiring. So, as always, the man with the producing plan, Mr. Ryan, he gets to go first. So, what do you got for me, number one?
All right, let's go with MJF. So
Mm-hmm.
MJF is the new international champion. So true or false? MJF will hold the international championship for at least 1 year.
False.
False.
I truly feel like this was just a placement for where he's going to go and where Ospreay's going to go. Whether Ospreay goes on to the World Heavyweight Championship or they do a rematch and Will Ospreay then beats MJF at All In. I don't know what they're doing with it, but I think MJF is bigger than this. I think it's fun that they gave it to him. I love when they give champions, former champions, World Heavyweight Champions, secondary titles. WWE did it for a little bit again, where like Triple H and them like came back and won like the IC belt for a minute. And so I like when they have world champions win
Yeah.
belts.
Seth
It makes
Rollins
it
was
feel
US champion for a
Seth
while.
Rollins, the US champion. They did John Cena. I like when they do that, when world champions kind of elevate. And I think that's what they're doing with MJF. I just think he's such a big star. They want him to have a title, but I don't think it'll be a year. No, I think it's going to go shorter than that. I don't think it's going to be that long of a reign, but I could be wrong. But I think this is just a placement for where they go. Before you say if you think it, do you think it was a good decision to give MJF that belt?
I don't know.
If you think it's going to go a year or not. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to go a year. So I agree that it's
False.
false. But I feel like the international championship scene right now is very, very crowded, because not only do you have Will Ospreay probably wanting his rematch, but you also have the potential return of Daniel Garcia, and you have Pac, who's been like demanding to get an international title match for a long time. So like the road to All In is kind of confusing with the international title scene. Could they do a fatal 4-way? Sure. Could they do a rematch between MJF and Ospreay again, and Pac waits his turn to get Ospreay? Sure. But so yeah, I don't really know what they're going to do, but I think you're right. I think this is definitely a placeholder for MJF, but I hope I think he'll hold it a little bit. Maybe he retains it at All In and drops it at All Out in 2 weeks after.
Yeah.
I could see them doing something like that.
If I was to bet my money on it, you were going to say, hey, Denton, you got to bet money. I would say they gave MJF this belt so that he could lose it to Daniel Garcia and have Daniel Garcia win his first ever singles title. I think that's what they're doing it for. MJF's not afraid to put people over. He was squashed by Wardlow once. Squashed, not beat, squashed. Didn't even get offense in. I think that's, if I was to put my money on it, that's what I think they're doing. I think he won it for that reason. Maybe All In, we get a returning Daniel Garcia versus MJF.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't think he holds it that long. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start it right off the bat. True or false? You already said it. Team Elite will win at Blood and Guts.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
I feel like they have to. I feel like they,
Mhm.
like I said before, I'm kind of ready for this story to kind of move on to the next chapter or just end, and we, go back to, go back to being happily ever after on AEW Dynamite. But
Yeah.
I just also feel like it's too soon. Like Jack Perry just won the TNT Championship. I don't feel like he can afford a loss. The Young
Mhm.
Bucks are the tag team champions. They can't afford a loss. You have Okada, who's the champion. He can't afford a loss. You have Adam Page, who's unhinged. And so I could see Swerve losing because of something that Adam Page does. And that sets up for Adam Page and Swerve down the line. Or Bryan Danielson could cost Swerve the match and
Mhm.
set up their match for All In. So I feel like it's more beneficial for the elite to continue their reign, and gives them a reason to be there, gives them a reason to get to generate heat. And
Mhm.
so yeah, I'm gonna say that Team Elite wins at Blood and Guts, but it's because of shenanigans from Bryan Danielson, Adam Page, or some other people. Maybe John Moxley comes out and
Mm.
beats somebody up. Maybe Eddie Kingston comes back and helps. I don't know,
Mm.
but yeah, or Sammy Guevara. I could see Sammy Guevara come back and cost Team Elite or Team AEW because he's been suspended twice. Why do I want to be
Mhm.
with teammate? I'm with the Elite. They brought me back. So who knows? Who knows? But
Yeah.
Team Elite has to win.
I fully agree with you, and I think it's true as well. I think somebody is going to help as well.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
And I also, you naming how everybody's a champion in it. Don't forget, it looks like Mercedes Money's going to join them as well, also the champion. So I just feel like they're going to be filled with titles. Why lose it? If they lose it, then what? I feel like this is
Yeah.
going to go deeper, and I don't think this is the Team AEW. So I think we're going to get a different team in the future that will finally dethrone them somehow, some way. But right now, it ain't it. Especially on a Dynamite, you're not going to end this on a
No.
Dynamite. So
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Not on
All right.
Dynamite 251.
250, yeah,
Blood and Guts.
251.
Yeah.
All right, man. What you got? What's your last one? Let's hear it. I'm ready.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's do, which one do I want to do? Okay, let's do this one. True or false? We will get a different version of Toni Storm when she wrestles Mariah May at All In. So we're going to get the old Toni Storm back.
The old one, I think we're going to get, I like that. I'm going to say true. I think we're getting a new one.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Whether it's old or new, I think we're done with. I was thinking that, and I'm glad you said it, because yeah, I think she's gonna be some kind of wrecking ball, Toni Storm whooping Mariah May ass type of character. I think it's gonna be good stuff. But yeah, and I think it's time. Her character turned into a three-way kissing machine. They got rid of the Marilyn Monroe stuff. They don't even do like the segments anymore. So, and I feel like she's gonna drop the belt. So I feel like she's gonna turn and have a new character moving forward. I agree. Or
Yeah.
she loses it, then does it. I don't know. We'll see. But either way, she's changing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
I think this is true. I don't want it to happen though.
This is good. Yeah.
Yeah, she's really good. I love the black and white stuff. I love the, after they move on from this little love story, if they go back to her being the little starlet actress with the films and everything. And this is like the first like real character that AEW has had. They've had wrestlers and they've had people wrestling under their real name, and they've had, John Moxley there and all that. But this is like an actual character that was built within AEW that got over, that the fans seem to like. So as much as I think it's time that the gimmick ends, I also don't want it to end because she's done such a great job with it.
I fully agree. I fully agree. All right, you ready for my last one?
Yes, sir. Go for it.
Let's go. I'm gonna go back to Mariah May. Mariah May will be the biggest female star in all of AEW. Could be 2 months, 1 month, 6 months, but she will be the biggest female star in AEW.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
I feel like it has to be true. It has to happen. Otherwise, what's all this for? Why are you taking the belt? You've had Serena Deeb wrestle Toni Storm, and you had her beat her. You've had Toni Storm beat, a number of people.
Deonna
Deonna Purrazzo. Yeah, everybody that could have been the face of the women's division, but it's all led to this moment for Mariah May, who has been, she's apparently really, really good. We've only seen her in a handful of matches and stuff in AEW, so we're gonna see how good she is. But why else would they do this? They have to believe in her. They got to strap the rocket to her, and you're going to end one of the best reigns that they've had with the women's title with Toni Storm. Then yes, I think Mariah May will be not only I could see her being the face of the entire women's division over Mercedes Moné, over Britt Baker, over Deonna Purrazzo. Like she has to be, and that's what you want in AEW. You have a new star, and I think that's what we should all want that.
I fully say it's true, 100%. I'm all in on Mariah May.
Oh, it's
There
true.
it is.
It's damn true.
I kept talking over it. This episode in AEW right now, I said it on my TikTok, so I'll reiterate on this pod, but Britt Baker is back, and she is the Charlotte Flair of the WWE. Not the biggest star, but she is the woman in all of female wrestling when it comes to AEW. Looks like she might win at All In. We got Mariah May, who I, believe it or not, is going to compare to Rhea Ripley, man. She has that persona, that character. When she beat down Toni Storm, the room was to her. And I know you said they were kind of weirded out on her promo, but I do think that the crowd never, especially her back was on the only people who are in the crowd. Remember, they're usually talking to a dead audience, right? I don't know how full it was. So you got to think that the majority of the fans are behind her, the hard cam. They probably thought it was Toni Storm because she didn't talk for a while. I think the crowd just never truly embraced it, but still, I know I said that Rhea Ripley is the only person other than Roman Reigns who can carry a room as well as they can in pro wrestling. I'm not saying she's there yet, but she has those similarities, man. I think she could be that new butt-kicking type of female. I know she's not the same build. I know she's lighter and so on, but I mean star power-wise. Rhea Ripley was a girl who was in the biz and wasn't really used right. They finally gave her an opportunity, and what happened? She became a star. I feel like the same with Mariah May. She's sitting around behind Toni Storm. Now she has her moment. She had that bloody beatdown. If she can beat Toni Storm at All In, that's going to be huge in her hometown. And she'll be able, or home country, I don't know, but be able to move on from that. And if they utilize her right, which they should, I think she could be the biggest female star, even if Britt Baker's still around, because Britt Baker's a Charlotte Flair. Rhea Ripley's the biggest star in WWE right now, but Charlotte Flair is just the woman. So if you can see what I mean. So, she is just, I feel like Mariah May could be that person, and AEW has something here if they have Britt and Mariah May as their champions moving forward.
Agreed. Yeah. So you think Britt Baker's beating Mercedes?
It's so hard. It's so because I think she should. I think Britt coming back and losing. It's not like Mercedes is Mariah May and needs to push. Sasha Banks, and technically, I'm assuming people think Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné is bigger than Britt Baker. So why would Britt Baker need to give her the rub? So I don't know, man. Britt Baker been working out, doing her thing, went through all this. She is the face of AEW's women's wrestling since day one. Her winning that title off of Mercedes Money will make Mercedes Money a bigger heel and Britt a bigger babyface. I think it works. The heel should, the chase, right? Chase. So I think she needs to chase Britt Baker. That's just how I feel like and I feel like the crowd will embrace her more as a villain if she loses. I just think so. That's just my opinion.
I'd be down with that. I'd be down with that. But yes, I think, like I said before, when we were talking about Rampage, AEW's women's division right now is thriving. And, you've got potential new star with Mariah May. You have Toni Storm doing her thing. Britt Baker's back. Nightingale doing her thing. Chris Statlander. So it's a fun time to be in AEW's women's division for sure.
Yeah, get with it, WWE. NXT's doing it. Now it's your turn. Impact's doing it. Now it's your turn. All right, let's get into our new segment. For those of you that don't know, if you don't listen to our WWE edition, you only listen to our AEW edition podcast, we have a new thing called the most valuable dude or dudette and the least valuable dude or dudette, where each week we're going to announce the number, our favorite and our least favorite of AEW and WWE for this week, not for the month, for this week. We start with the least favorite. You put most valuable. We start with the least favorite because we always want to end on a positive note. That's how you do it. So who was your least valuable dude or dudette of the week?
I'm gonna cheat a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you three. But it's the Bang Bang Gang. They are the least favorite.
Oh,
They're the
that's
least valuable.
the
Yeah,
dudes. Yeah,
yeah, the dudes.
it's a
But
good one.
you know, them holding the trios championships just to be stripped of the trios championships, and
Mhm.
then to be told, "Hey, you're going to compete next week against the patriarchy for the trios championships," which that whole thing was still so illogical. It made no absolute sense whatsoever.
Mhm.
But I don't think the Bang Bang Gang is going to retain or win those trios championships. I think it's going to the patriarchy because you know, they love to have Christian Cage.
Mhm.
He's better with gold around his waist, and
For sure.
so yeah, I'm gonna say the Bang Bang Gang. Sans Jay White, I think they're the least valuable dudes. I mean, they just did not have a good week. They did not have a good week.
Yeah. I can't hate on that, and you're not blaming them, just like I did the A-Town Down Under yesterday as my least favorite, least valuable, and it wasn't their fault either. They're just being booked stupid and sadly. Um, I have one for you. You ready? We
Yeah,
didn't even
go for it.
talk about him, but it is possibly top 10 all-time pro wrestler,
Here we
the
go.
learning tree himself, Chris
Okay.
Jericho. This dude has been a mess. Chris Jericho has about 50 different characters in his lifetime. The only professional wrestler ever to change his gimmick and his character around so many times. He was 49 for 49, damn it. This is bad. It has never been good. It is stupid. It is cheesy. I don't know how somebody with the talent of Chris Jericho can think this is working. It just is. And now he's going to face none other than Suzuki, an 89-year-old man from New Japan Pro. Who gives a shite? I don't understand what we are doing right now with Chris Jericho. I heard rumblings that he got all emotional about John Cena retiring and maybe he's thinking about it. I said this when he started this character. I'm gonna say it again. I have not fallen in love with that. I always admit when I'm wrong. I do it all the time. I am not loving this. I am done with it. I think he needs to once again retire from AEW, have one last run in WWE, however he wants it to be, so he can retire in the Hall of Fame and lace up them boots, son. He maybe be behind the scenes and not allow wrestlers to be a learning tree. This is just awful. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
get it. The stupid
yeah.
like, hi guys. Hi. It's just it's
Yeah.
you're laughing. Maybe you do get it. I don't know. I don't get it.
No.
It is so atrocious.
Yeah. So I've been on here before, and I've said that the learning tree is kind of growing on me, and
Uh-huh.
you know, I kind of dug it the first like 3 weeks, but then lately it's just taken a severe nosedive. You know, the one episode of Dynamite where Chris Jericho was shown like 15 times just walking backstage giving like random facts. Like,
Oh,
did
yeah.
you know that
Oh,
the world's the biggest cup of coffees, the most cup of coffees that were sold? It was just what are we talking about? It was just like
yeah.
backstage giving all these random fun facts and catering, and then he's at
Mhm.
the medical tent, then he's like, just all these stupid things. And that's when I was like, you know what, this is dumb. And then they get Redwood now, like Redwood Big Bill is his gimmick, and
Yeah.
and then the other, all
I mean,
it's bad. And then
Homeboy's funny. The last guy's kind of funny,
the
but yeah.
segment, the TV time segment is awful. I'm not feeling this anymore. It was growing on
Yeah.
me for a little bit, no pun intended,
Mhm.
but it was growing. But now it's just I fast forwarded the first time I watched Dynamite. I was like, I
It
don't
was
want
so
to.
bad.
Yeah, I want to get to the good stuff.
Mhm. That was not the good stuff. And this learning tree needs to be chopped down. All right,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's end on this positive. Who is your most valuable dude, dudes, dudette, or dudettes? Let's go. Of the week.
I feel like this one's pretty obvious, but it's got to be MJF. You know, he's the only new champion that was crowned. We didn't expect it to happen, and the man put on an hour-long banger of a match, proving yet again to all the doubters that he can wrestle and that he is damn good in the ring. And Ospreay played a significant part in that. Don't get me wrong. And yes, he did cheat. He did cheat to win. He used the Dynamite Diamond Ring, but still, I mean, he's the new international champion. I like the ending where he's holding the gas mask and the oxygen mask that's not connected to anything. There was like no oxygen tank or anything. It was just he was just there for show. I like that he was just like I'm like the stuff he was saying to the camera about being the best wrestler and he's the smartest wrestler and you guys will thank me later. And it was Yeah, I think, I mean, new international champion. We'll see what they do with it going forward. See what this leads to with him at All In. But anytime you have a new champion on your big show, it's to me, he's got to be MVD. So Maxwell
right.
Jacob Friedman.
Well said. Well said. And you kind of make me regret my decision, but I'm not going with MJF. I'm sorry. I'm going back to back females.
Go for
Most
it, man.
valuable dudettes. I'm doing Mariah May. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
man, she destroyed Tony Storm, came out dressed as Tony Storm, cut a
Looked
promo
just
where
like her,
she,
too.
yeah, except better. Like I said,
Yeah.
she's a better looking version than Tony Storm. It's weird. And the fact that she just cut that promo, did it exactly how I would have envisioned it, where she just did not come up with any type of reasoning. Like you said, the crowd wasn't into it and she kept going. She was called a bitch by Tony Schiavone. She might have even heard him. He said it so damn loud. She just ran herself perfectly. I think that moment made people know she was a star. Like I said, her presence was felt. I enjoyed it. I'm loving it. I love that she laid down at the end like Tony Storm and they had the shot and she was just, I just love it. And I like that she was saying something, I forget quote, but like, this is the era of Mariah May, something. So I don't know what she was saying, but I just like it. I liked it all. I like that she talked about loving Tony Storm, but doing this the whole time. Yeah. I got to give it to Mariah May, man. MJF, he gets enough flowers. I'm going to give it to Mariah May.
That's true. Yeah, no, Mariah May is a solid pick. And I loved what she did too. I'm digging this feud. I mean, this is like I said before, I'm like really excited about everything with All In. And this match is a huge part of it. Like it's going to be probably the most anticipated Tony Storm match I've been wanting to see for a while. And it's because of Mariah May. So she definitely deserves her flowers right now.
I agree. All right, y'all. That's our AEW edition of Two Dudes with Attitudes, a wrestling podcast. We will be back next week for all things AEW. We should have a jam-packed show. Rampage, Collision have some things going on. We got
Blood and Guts.
Virtuoso versus Thunder Rosa, and then we have Dynamite where it's blood and guts, and who knows who's going to win? Are we going to have Tony Storm return to kind of get some come up in some Mariah May yet? Is Tony Khan going to return? What are we going to get? I'm excited to see what's going on with MJF moving forward. Are we going to have new, are the Trios Championships on this? I think they're this. Are they blood and guts? I don't know.
No, I think they're this coming Wednesday on Dynamite.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Yeah.
So we got all sorts of stuff going on. I'm excited for it. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in, subscribing, liking us wherever you're listening to us. Keep on doing it. We're doing our thing. We give our time. We think we're the best unknown wrestling podcast in the world, and it's just two fans' perspectives, man. No hate. As always, if you just like hearing my hate speeches, you can follow me on HBD Denton on all social media outlets, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and so on. And as always, the man I will always be with until the day I die, Mr.
Ryan Enjoys Wrestling. Go follow me on all the social media platforms. Go hit us up on TikTok at Two Dudes with Attitudes. Go follow us on X at Two Dudes PC. I think we're right at around 300 followers or so on X now. So we're blowing up.
Right on.
I'm starting to get a little bit more vocal with things there. So go follow us there. We are working on creating like an Instagram account for the podcast and maybe even a Facebook page as well. But more to come there. And then, yeah, if you're listening to us on Apple and Spotify, thanks for all the love and support. Go leave us a 5-star rating and review. And we're growing, we're blowing up. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. That seems to be the best avenue for us right now. It seems to be the thing that's working the most. So go subscribe over there. Yeah, we're growing, man. And 2024 is going to be the year of the dudes. We're going to keep this thing going for sure.
Two
dudes with pack. We out.
It's the two dudes and our attitudes ruthless, aggressively speaking, so let's do this. We're Ryan and Denton, they here to get your attention. A 5-star broadcast, start to the ending. Whether it's the E or it's all E, the two dudes with the attitudes that bring the heat. Get the point, yeah, it's on, time to lock in. Listen to the podcast where they get it poppin'.